Get some. Die, you son of a... Yeah, that's right. I'm the daddy. I'm the daddy. Oh. Yeah. Hi. How are you guys? Welcome back to the record room. You have to forgive me there. I was a little bit... Anyway, how is everybody doing out there? I hope everybody is good. And for all the new subscribers out there, hey, for the first time, because some of you will be seeing me for the very first time. And I just want to say thank you for staying subscribed to this channel. I know it's been a long time since our last video, over a year. There's been a number of situations or circumstances as to why that is the case, but it's neither here nor there. We're back in the record room. It's opened up its doors once again, and I'm here to talk about the thing that I am most passionate about in life, outside of my family, of course, and that's records and record collecting. And because we're jumping back into things, I've seen this a few times now on other YouTube channels that talk about records. Top 10s, or most valuable, or most desired, whatever way you want to look at it. I am going to talk about and show my top 10 most valuable soundtracks according to Discogs. Now, like anything, value is subjective. Something is only worth what somebody is willing to pay for it. It's all well and good Discogs saying that this record is worth £3,000. If no one wants to give you £5 for it, then you know, it's not worth anything. So take everything I say in this video with regards to pricing with a pinch of salt. I'll give you the medium pricing and I'll give you the maximum pricing, and we'll go through my top 10 soundtracks on vinyl according to Discogs value scale. So, you know, it's not desirability, it's purely all about the money today back here in the record room. So we'll call this part one of what it's worth, because I do plan to do a mini series on this where I'll talk about soundtracks. I also plan to talk about some of my black metal records and also some of the other miscellaneous records that are in the record room, because I was quite surprised, actually quite shocked at how much some of these records are worth, because I genuinely have no clue. Value means very little to me when it comes to owning. Purchasing, completely different. But when it comes to owning stuff, it's on the shelf, so I don't really think about it. But top 10 soundtracks, and we're going to start off number 10. We'll go in reverse order. And the first one up is actually a box set. And there are a few box sets on this list. And I have to say, I am a big fan of box sets. I didn't used to be. I used to think box sets were just extravagant for no reason. But I have come around in the last few years when it comes to box sets. But yes, the first one is the Suspiria 40th Anniversary Edition box set. Now, there were a few of these that came out around the time of Suspiria's 40th anniversary, which was, doesn't say on the back. I don't even remember how long ago this was. Maybe 6 years ago, I'm not sure. But this box set here, they did a couple of different versions of the box set. The record you can pick up, but the box set version is long sold out, and this did come in a few different ways. I have copy 99 of 150, and according to the blurb on the back, it says this box set contains the original Suspiria soundtrack on LP and cassette, an exclusive 10-inch LP including rare and unreleased material, a CD and DVD set, 2 64-page booklets, and a Suspiria peacock feather especially handcrafted for this limited edition. Now, obviously, the peacock feather is kind of useless to a record collector or a music fan, but if you're a fan of the film, then the peacock feather makes sense and it's a nice thing to have. So I'm going to pop the box open and we get a nice certificate here, which you are more than welcome to pause and zoom in on. And it just says this is copy 99 of the limited peacock version of the Suspiria box set. You have, it basically says that you've purchased an authentic box set, which is, are people bootlegging this stuff? I don't know. Anyway, So first things first, we have Suspiria on cassette, and it's nicely done. You know, I'm a big fan of cassettes. If you've watched this channel before, you'll know that. And this is a really nice cassette, nicely done. Mimics the original 1977 release. So that's when this came out, 2017. So there you go. So this is, I mean, this is a really nicely done cassette. You also have a 2 CD version of the score, which, as you can see, is still sealed because I have no use for CDs. Still own a CD player, but do not ever really listen to CDs. The peacock feather stiletto, I guess this is, or this is the peacock feather. So, or this is meant to represent the peacock feather in the film. But yeah, there you go. There's the peacock feather. And the box actually comes in a couple of different layers, and I'll show you what's cool about this is on the inside, the actual foam has the Suspiria logo etched or carved into it, cut into it, which is a really, really nice touch. You don't really see much happening with cardboard when it much happening with foam packaging when it comes to box sets. So I'll just remove the top layer, and then we come down to the Suspiria 10-inch, which this is labeled as rare and unreleased. Now, all this stuff has actually been out many times, as far as I'm aware, on different versions of the soundtrack, on the CD. Everything that's included here on vinyl is also on the CD as well. But you do get this. It's a nice 10-inch. And if memory serves, yeah, it's on colored vinyl. It has nice center labels as well. Which one is this? This is side A. There you go. You got a nice picture of Susie. And then on the flip, you have a picture of the peacock. And again, it's nice to have. I think I may have listened to the additional rare and unreleased a handful of times. It's not something I go back to because I am a big fan of listening to things the way they were released. It's very rare that an expanded version of anything does much for me. But this is the Suspiria score, and I will bust this open because I think, memory serves, this does replicate the original. Let's see here. So yeah, so this one, it opens from the top. I do have original versions of this from many different countries, but this one is slightly different. It opens from the top, but it does replicate the original. As you can see, the glue has come loose. Let me just put a little bit of TG magic on this now and see if I can make this happen. But the original release of this was a gatefold, and when you opened it up, this DA popped out, which is pretty cool. You know, it's a pretty cool thing. So yeah, it's nicely done as an insert as opposed to being the actual. The cover doesn't open itself. The insert does, which is pretty cool. And then the record itself, I believe, is just, yeah, it's black vinyl. It feels pretty heavy. It feels like a heavy release, so this may well be 180 gram. I'm not sure. Either way, I remember it sounding pretty good. It's not my go-to listen if I'm going to listen to Suspiria, but it is a pretty good listen. And one of the really cool things about this box set, it mentions that you get 2 64-page booklets, I believe it is, but it's a little bit deceiving because the booklets are actually identical, but one is in English and one is in Italian. So catering for a wider audience there, which is very good. So the Italian one, I've never really looked through, but the English one is fantastic. I've read through the English half of this on more than one occasion, and I've actually read Fabio Capuzio's book on Goblin. I can't remember the name of it now. I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's a fantastic, fantastic book. Goes into the complete history of the band, everything about them. But this is just, it's a really nice history of the film, the score, all of that kind of stuff. And this, according to the mighty Discogs, the median price on this box set is £200, 200 UK pounds. I'm not sure what that is in dollars or the currency in your part of the world. The top price, or the high price, is £336.84. Now, I genuinely do not remember how much I paid for this box set because it was 2017. That's a long, long time ago. However, it wasn't cheap at the time. It may have been around $150, maybe creeping up to $200. So it has increased in value, which is fine, which is cool. I don't really care. It's not a big deal to me. I have no plans to sell this. It's just a nice thing to have. And if you are a fan of the Suspiria score, it is well and truly worth checking out. Moving swiftly on to number 9 on my top 10 most expensive records, soundtracks in my collection, according to Discogs, is actually another box set. In fact, there are 2 more box sets. Well, no, there are 2 box sets left in this top 10, and then it's single albums. And this is a box set that isn't even that old. This one came out in 2022, and this is a video game soundtrack. I am a big fan of the game, and I've noticed in the last 5-10 years the insane collectability of video game scores. And this, I believe this is because it crosses 2 categories. You've got your soundtrack collectors and you've got your video game fans who are looking to buy merchandise from the project or from the title. And that is why I think some of these video game scores are selling for insane money. And number 9 on my list is the Elden Ring box set from Bandai Namco. I'll let you guys get a look at that. And then this was limited. What does it say on the back here? 6,149 of 6,999. So it's not an insignificant amount they made of these, nearly 7,000 units. How many of those that actually went on sale is hard to say, but this is a beautiful, beautiful set. I will say that. And the way this opens, it has a drawer at the front as opposed to, you know, like a flip lid. So let me just pull the front part of this off. And with most box sets, it seems, you do get a certificate of authenticity just to prove that it is a real box set. 6,149 of 6,999. It comes with a beautiful art print. And honestly, part of me would love to frame some of these prints and put them around the record room, but the other part of me is so anal about keeping everything together in a box set. I don't even like taking posters out of albums. It's a problem. Anyway, so the box set itself is nice because there is a pull tab. I don't know. Right, let's try and do this. So there is a pull tab here. Yeah, there's a pull tab at the bottom. I won't do it and throw the records all over the floor, but there's a pull tab at the bottom and you lift the records out of the box, which is nice. And each disc or each collection is a double LP, which is really, really nice. And I'll show you the first one. I believe they're all different colors. So this one is like a clear smoke. I don't know if the smoke is coming through on camera, but there's a very faint smoke running through it. Ordinarily, not a huge fan of the clear vinyl at all. I think clear vinyl sounds quite poor, or can do, but I do remember this one sounding pretty nice, and disc 2 as well. Actually, now I remember the funny thing with this. Yes, now I remember. So each double LP on this is marked as a single disc. So this 2 LP set is marked as disc 1, which it has 2 discs in it. So anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful gatefold. Nice and shiny. That's disc 1. Let's take a look at disc 2. And Elden Ring, I absolutely adore this game. I enjoy watching it more than I enjoy playing it, because I am as much of a gamer as I am. From Software games, I think they're incredible. Absolutely adore Bloodborne. I am just not the best at them, and I don't have the patience to spend eons, you know, getting to grips with everything. But there are tons of great YouTubers out there that play these games pretty much for a living, and they're fantastic. This is the second set, which is kind of like an... It looks, it's an orange smoke basically, but again, the smoke is very, 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 very faint, so you're not seeing everything. And there is actually a unboxing video on this channel for this collection, which I will link below. So if you would like to check that out, you are more than welcome to. Each cover though is fantastic, and this is 4 discs as they class it, so it's actually an 8-disc box set. Again, I've no clue how much this was when it came out. I just, as soon as I played the game, I fell in love with the music. It's just absolutely fantastic. This one, again, you probably can't see the effects are so subtle, but it's not smoke, it's more marbly, but it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And again, I do remember it sounding pretty good. And as soon as this went up for sale on the Bandai Namco website, I jumped on it straight away, because I did not want to miss out, because the music is just, it's so, so good. And I believe this is the only time this has been released, this music. I don't know if there is a cut down version, like a 2-disc version. And that's the final one there, which you can see through is a nice black smoke. I would be interested in listening to an edited version of this, because at 8 discs long, as you can imagine, this is an investment of time to check out all of the LPs in this set. Now, according to the mighty Discogs, the median price on this one is £252.66, which I don't think is a million miles away from the original price. It may have been around £200. I'm not, don't quote me on that. I genuinely do not remember, because I bought this when it came out, and you know, 2022 is not that long ago, but I buy a lot of records. So the median price there is £252.66, and the high is £340.42. Either way, this is a phenomenal box set. The music is absolutely incredible. I am a big, big fan of everything contained within this box set. It's beautifully presented, it sounds good, it looks great. It's everything you would want in a box set. So there you go, that's number 9 on my top 10 soundtracks. Moving swiftly along to number 8, and this is actually a standard LP, which is nice, and it is Fabio Fritz's score for Lucio Fulci's The Beyond, or as it's known in these parts, La Aldelia, or La Aldea, which means The Beyond. And as you can see behind me, I actually have a framed picture of the Mondo variant of The Beyond when they released it. I absolutely love this cover. I love this picture of Emily and Dickie. The Beyond is one of my favorite films of all time. The score for The Beyond is one of my top 5, top 3, possibly top 1. I absolutely adore this film. I love this cover. I love everything about this record. And interestingly enough, I'll give you a little spoiler, but this record is actually on this list twice, because there are 2 different versions of this record. There is a first press and then there is a second press. Now, if memory serves, I do believe that the first and second press came out in very, very quick succession. The first press sold out very quickly, and when that happened, they would, Beat Records would just press another one. But this is the green label version, which I think this is the first pressing. So you have a green Beat label here, which, there we go. And then there is also a red one as well. And the red one is the second pressing. Now, I know what you might be thinking, like, well, how can a second press be rarer than the first one? Well, the second press was probably, if I had to take a guess, was probably printed in much lower numbers than the first press. And then that makes it a little bit rarer. But the record itself, if you just want the music and are just interested in the music, the score has been reissued many, many times. Mondo have done it. Beat, I believe, have done it themselves. I think Ship to Shore have done it as well. So it's not hard to find the score. It is fantastic. The music is utterly brilliant. And if you are a fan of the Beyond, be sure to check out Cadabra Records' insanely good Beyond Composer's Cut, which again, it had its own deluxe box set. There are many different versions. I'm sure I'll talk about that one later on at some point on this channel. But this version here, number 8, sorry, on the list of 10. This one came out in 1981 on Beat Records. The medium price, £217.39, with a high being £374.83. And now I can say with this one, I genuinely do not remember how much I paid for the green label. I already had the red one when I bought the green one, but I will say this. I did buy the green one on eBay and I paid not very much money for it. I'm not going to say how much I paid because I do remember, but it was not a lot. And I'm eternally grateful for the soundtrack gods for allowing that to happen. So again, fantastic record. Cannot recommend it enough. I'm so pleased I have both versions. Regardless of cost, I would have both because I absolutely adore that score, adore Fabio, the composer. Just everything about the film, the music, everything is absolutely first class. Up next on the list of 10, so this is number 7, and the only entry from the soundtrack label, Varese Sarabande, or Varese Sarabande, however you want to pronounce it, it's entirely up to you. And I'm quite shocked by that because back in the day, the early 80s, well, I mean, they've been going since, I believe, I think the original label that morphed into Varese, I think it started in the 50s or 60s, something like that. It's been around for a long time. Anyway, most of the great horror and film soundtracks in general all came out on this label back in the day. And this is the only one on my top 10 list, which I'm a little bit surprised about. But given what it is, I'm not surprised it's on the list because it is, in fact, the score for Evil Dead. And if you know anything about the score for Evil Dead, this is the only time this version of the score has ever come out. Now, the version on this record, the music on this record is not the music from the film. They're actually re-records, which was common practice. This isn't anything shady. It's what happened. But rumor has it that the composer, Joe LaDuca, he was not a fan of this. And that's why it's only ever come out this way one time. Death Waltz did a reimagined score a few years ago. It was released at MondoCon, and it's great. I like the reimagined score. I've actually seen Evil Dead the musical as well that has some new music in it, which was really good. But there's something about that original release. Now, even though it's not the music that's actually in the film, it's still good. It still reminds me of the Evil Dead, which is a great thing as far as I'm concerned. And this one is clocking in at $188.62 for the medium price and $374.47 for the high price. Now that is kind of bonkers to me that somebody would pay close to £400 for this. Now I understand that back in the day when this was released, when did this come out? 1984. This was probably not pressed in huge numbers. I mean, it's not Taylor Swift, it's not Adele, it's not even a big score like we have now with like Dune or Fallout or any of these, you know, the big selling score records now. So I can't imagine there are a lot of these. However, I'm really happy to have this in my collection. And if you are able to get a copy of this record without spending an insane amount, I would highly recommend doing so. Coming in hot at number 6, again, is a record that has only been released on vinyl once, which I find incredibly baffling, because this, the movie that this is from, the director of this movie, his other projects have been reissued. I'm pretty much sure all of them have been reissued, or at least most of the ones that were on that have had vinyl releases in the past have had vinyl reissues as well. And coming in at number 6 is the score for David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. Now, this is a 2 LP set released on Milan Records at the time of the film's release, I believe. Oh no, this one came out in 2008, so after the film. But again, I don't know why this hasn't had another release, because this goes for insane money now. It's a fantastic score. It is probably my favorite of the Angelo Badalamenti David Lynch collaborations. Although I'm a big fan of Twin Peaks, obviously you can't not be. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, I've shown Twin Peaks records on here many times. I absolutely love Twin Peaks, but I love this film. It's one of my favorite films of all time. I just think it's absolutely flawless. I believe it's a work of art. And I believe the score is a work of art too. Now, I wasn't fortunate enough to purchase this when this came out. However, my brother from another mother and my partner in the label Tiger Lab Vinyl did, and he was kind enough to sell me his copy many moons ago. I paid a good price, not overpaid. I paid a fair price for this record, and I am so thrilled. It's on black vinyl, both discs, and it's quite heavy. Could be 180 gram, 160, who knows. The important thing is it sounds great. It really does. It's a fantastic score. Unfortunate that it hasn't been made available for everybody. Anytime I've talked about this or posted this online, I've had people, oh, has that been reached? No. This is an original version. So maybe one day it will get released. I really hope it does. I would love for these records to be for everybody. You know, I don't believe in gatekeeping, and I think music should be for everyone. However, if you did want to track down a copy of this for yourself, the median price on this is £200, and the high, this is insane to me, the high price on this record is £409.60, which I don't know. Is it worth £400? To me, absolutely. I would pay £400 for this in a heartbeat if I didn't have it and it was the only way I could get it. However, that is an insane amount of money. So there you go. That was number 6 on my top 10 soundtracks. Next up, we're returning to the box sets, and the final one in this list. And for this one, we are going to The Land of the Rising Sun, and one of the most beautiful box sets I own. There is an unboxing on this channel of this box set, so I'm just going to show it and move along because it's huge and it's heavy. And to get into it, oh Lord, there we go. It's the Godzilla Showa era soundtrack box set, 1954 to 1975 from Waxwork Records. And this thing, it's an absolute work of art. If you are a Godzilla fan, even casually, this is something I would recommend you try and track down if you can, because it's just so well done. Everything about this is fantastic. I'm trying not to crack the records, or try not to crack the lid on my turntable I have this resting on. But it's beautiful. You get an abundance of records. CDs? Dare you. And I like this because it flaps down, and you can see each of the covers for the scores inside, and you get this awesome Godzilla slip mat as well. Now, I don't personally use slip mats, and again, it comes back to that, would I take it out of the packet? No, I wouldn't. I just love it as it is, but this is an insanely cool box set. There is an unboxing on this channel, so I will link to that, but this one we are looking at, for a release that came out in 2021, so not even really that long ago, £320 is the median price, which I actually think is pretty good, going up to £454.46, which again, I still think that's pretty good. You know, anything below 500, I would say is really good, because this is a genuinely incredible box set. How many records are in here? Let's see. We've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 records. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of vinyl. It took me a long time to go through this and listen to them all, but I absolutely love them. I love Godzilla. So that's why I have it. So if you are in the market for, it is well worth tracking down. Number 4 on this list is something I debated about including in this list because it's not technically a record. It's not technically vinyl. This is a lathe cut, and this is also a bootleg or a fan edition, however you want to describe it. I am not someone that is an advocate for bootlegging. Absolutely, I am 100% dead against it. But there are some times and some cases where releases just will not, for whatever reason, come out the way that they were originally intended, what was originally included in the film, etc., etc. There are plenty of reasons that I have no clue about, and so sometimes when something pops up, even though it's a little bit, you just have to jump on it. And that's why at number 4, on this list is Tangerine Dream's The Keep. Now, Tangerine Dream's The Keep has been released before. It was actually a Record Store Day release. It came out on CD before that. However, the music contained on that record is not the music in the film. It's not. And it's, I don't want to say it's unlistenable, because I'm a Tangerine Dream fan. I love Tangerine Dream. I actually I like the current incarnation of Tangerine Dream as well, which includes no original members. This is a tough one. However, I had to have it. I had to have it. So when a copy came up, was offered to me, I jumped on it. And you know what? I don't feel bad. This is a lathe cut. So looks like a record, smells like a record, and plays like a record. And it sounds fantastic. Whoever is behind this project, hats off to them, because they've clearly done a lot of work on it. It's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. If this were to ever come out officially, would I buy it in a heartbeat? 100%. I would love for this to be an official release, but unfortunately for the time being, I will make do with my rather superb lathe cut. And then this one is medium price. This is just insane, because I don't actually think Discogs even allows the sale of this anymore. The medium price on this one is £378.88, with the high being £479. Now at that price, this is market bearing, so to speak. At that price, you have to think someone's missing a trick here by not releasing this properly. You know, that is an insane amount of money. So there you go. That was number 4 on my list. The only non-vinyl soundtrack, Tangerine Dream's The Keep. We're nearing the end now. We're in top 3 territory. And one of the top 3 I've already spoken about before, so not that much of a mystery. But coming in at number 3 is another release from the legendary Beat Records out of Italy, and that's the score for The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. Now, even though this is an Italian score for an Italian film, it's in English, which is pretty cool. I am a big fan of this, and this version is so crisply mint. In fact, when I bought this, and I don't remember how much I paid for this one, when I bought this, it was still in its original shrink. It had been opened, the original owner had slid it at the side, but it was still in its original shrink. Now, I take shrink wrapping off of older records because shrink has a tendency to shrink covers, which is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to keep everything inside. On older records though, it can have a tendency to crush the covers. Now this one here, it's a Sorghini score, which it has been reissued, I think at least a couple of times. I know Deathwalks did a great reissue of this in the early days of the label, but this one here says United Kingdom, Eurobeat, Manchester, England. I mean, just look at how vibrant the cover rather is. It's just absolutely so good, and it sounds so crisp. and so good. And I actually played this score for my father, who is not in any way, shape or form a soundtrack fan or a horror fan. And he was just digging the music, you know, it's great music. And there you go. There's the nice beat black label there. And this disc, I mean, you can't tell this. This is so flimsy. This is none of your 180 gram, 200 gram nonsense here. No, this just sounds amazing. It's absolutely incredible. It's a brilliant score. If you haven't heard it, it's funky as all get out. I cannot recommend listening to that score enough. In fact, if you walk away from this episode and there are a couple of things you want to check out, the original score for the Beyond, Aldilia, my Italian still hasn't improved, and The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, both two incredible scores. This one came out in 1974 on Beat Records. The medium price, which I think is very reasonable, £231.33, with the high being £480. Now, I didn't pay anywhere close to that, but the record does seem to be going up in value as people are discovering it. And there's something about that cover. It's just very of its time. It's just unusual. It looks really cool though. So there you go. That was number 3 on my top 10 soundtrack list. Coming in at number 2 on this list, as I've alluded to already, is the other version of The Beyond by Fabio Frizzi. So this here, as you can see, is the red label version. I won't get this out because it's exactly the same as the green version, but yeah, it has a red label instead of a green one. And even though this score is insanely meaningful to me, this version is made even more meaningful because it's actually signed to me by Fabio Frizzi. Over the years, I've been fortunate enough to become somewhat friendly with Fabio, and he did a Q&A at a Fright Fest in London in the UK a few years back, and I travelled down to see the Q&A, to see the film. And I took this with me, and I was fortunate enough to get it signed. And Fabio himself was really pleased to see this. In fact, he was with his wife, and he showed it to her, and I could just see the happiness on his face made it mean even more to me. So yeah, this is the red label edition of The Beyond. This one is coming in at £289.16 on the median, and the high £530.12. Again, as I've said, all prices are subjective. Nothing is worth. Things are only worth what someone is willing to pay. So is this score worth £500? Well, yes, I'm the wrong person to ask. I absolutely think it's worth £500, but maybe you won't. And again, this has been reissued many times in this form, this score. So check this out. Check out Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. Two incredible records. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. And now I'm sure the moment you've all been waiting for, at least some of you have, and if you've been a subscriber to this channel before, you may have seen a previous, Discogs video I did years ago. I think I did a mishmash of everything back then just to talk about some records. But if you follow me on social media, if you are an acquaintance of mine, everybody knows I own this record because I've talked about it many times. And it's a great score. Not something I listen to fantastically often because it's Friday the 13th. And personally for me, my favourite Friday the 13th score is part 3 because of that awesome disco song, which if you've never heard, you run to YouTube now and check out because it is insane. This is Friday the 13th from Waxwork Records. And I'm sure you may be wondering, well, you know, Tony, there are quite millions, that's an exaggeration, but there are quite a few variants of this record. And you know what, 100% right. There are a few different variants. Some of them are very collectible. I just happen to have the most collectible variant of this, which happens to be the blood-filled variant. Whoa. So this is an insanely expensive record. In fact, it's one of the most expensive records in my entire collection. It's not the most expensive, but it's definitely up there. And I'm sure most people by now, if you're a soundtrack fan, you are well aware of the legend of this record. So for those that don't know, Waxwork Records released this back in 2014. And while these were being made, I believe they originally were supposed to be limited to like 90 or 100 copies, something like that. It was a very, 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 very low number. But in transit, some of them were destroyed. And I believe Kevin from Waxwork has come out and said there are around 60 odd copies of this in existence. And at the time, for those of you that were lucky, like myself, I did buy this from Waxwork on the day of release. They retailed this for $60. And at the time, they made a loss on every unit they sold, because making a liquid filled record is a labor intensive process. It's not an easy thing. I have a couple of different liquid filled records and they're all fantastic, but they do take time and effort to make. And because of that, this record, well, there were a couple of things. One, it's Friday the 13th and horror stuff, horror fans, people love to collect horror stuff. It's just what it is. The score itself is great, but again, you can get it a couple of different ways. Waxwork have done many good variants of this over the years, but this one is very, very special. And because of that, it does command a fairly high price. There are currently, I believe, 2 on sale on Discogs. One at an okay price and one at just an insane price. The median on this record is £600, which, if I had a spare £600 and someone offered me a copy for £600, I would be sorely tempted to pick up another copy as an investment. The high price on this record, and I can't even believe this is a real number, is £3,400, which is the price of a small car. I am shocked that this record commands this money. I know people that managed to buy this at the time and also sold it many years ago. And at the time they got great prices for it. But since that time, it's done nothing but go up in value. And for my 2 cents, I think this record is going to keep going up in value as well. I don't think that the record will ever dip below 4 figures now. I genuinely don't. There aren't many of them. Even if Waxwork were to make another version of this, which I believe they've hinted at once or twice, it still wouldn't be the first press. So the collectors out there that are interested in collecting those early records, the original, you know, the first presses, will still want this. So it will always be desirable. I have zero intention of ever selling this record. If I was homeless on the streets, I'd be pushing around a cart. This record would be inside it. Yeah, I absolutely adore this record, this package. I really do. I do like the music on it, but the whole thing, I absolutely love it. I enjoy owning it. I genuinely do. I do take it out from time to time. I look at it, and yeah, I do actually play it as well. I know that might seem kind of bonkers, but I do actually listen to everything in the record room, regardless of value. I do listen. If I want to listen to a record, regardless of what the Discogs price is, I'm going to listen to it because they're my records. And I recommend you do the same with your records as well, regardless of value, rarity, price, you know, whatever. If you want to listen to something, it's yours. Listen to it. Who cares, honestly? But there we go. That was my top 10 soundtracks value-wise. I have to do the air quotes value-wise, according to Discogs. Not the top 10 best soundtracks I own, not the top 10 rarest records I own. Probably not even the top 10 rarest soundtracks I own, but the market, you know, is dictated by what people are willing to pay and also not what they're willing to pay as well. So thank you for joining me once again in the record room. We are back. I do plan to keep uploading videos for you. And in fact, there are 2 more parts of this What's It Worth series coming, so do be on the lookout for them. And you can always follow us online. You can subscribe to us on obviously YouTube, but also Instagram and Twitter as well. Feel free if you have any questions you'd like to reach out. It's at Record Room Show on Instagram and Twitter. But until next time, thank you very much and spin those blackest circles.